Hey, y'all, welcome to Tools for Success Counseling, your source for mental health support. Today, we have a special guest. He is a part of the 1% of Black male therapists in the United States of America. He is a licensed master of social worker. His name is Rashad Williams. Welcome, Rashad. How you feeling?
Good, good. Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's not many of us out here, so when we get one, we just got to praise them and appreciate it. Rashad actually works at Tools for Success Counseling. He is licensed to provide therapy in Connecticut, and he has. Wait, you full? Or you got slots?
Hold on. Can
Are
you
you
say that again?
full, or can you take people?
Oh, I can take people. Absolutely.
Rashad has
Absolutely.
openings right now. Lincoln by
Absolutely.
Rashad.
Absolutely.
Uh, Tell me what brought you into social work. Let's just hop in. What brought you in to be a social worker, now therapist?
Okay. Well, first, this is a great, great, exciting opportunity. Just speaking with everyone. So what brought me into therapy? I believe it or not, I've been in, somewhere involved my entire life. I grew up in a household where my mom was a therapist, and so I was always around it. And as a kid, I told myself I would never do that job ever. But just being around it and just seeing how rewarding it is, I just felt that it was just really inside of me. And it was something I became very passionate about moving forward. I just felt like I was just born right into it, and it's something that I absolutely love to do. I wake up every day and I love my job, the good days, the bad days, and everything that comes along with it. So this is a great, great opportunity, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Okay, I think that's amazing that your mom was a therapist. You saw it, said I would never do it, but then ended
Yeah.
up being a therapist. So how did you still get in the door of becoming a therapist then?
Yeah. So pretty much, just growing up in that household, I was always helping my mom with, little projects in the community, doing things at her job or, during the holidays, when she's going into work, because, with therapy and mental health, there's never, days, it always goes. And it's something that, I seen her, doing that job. So I would always help her with things, whether, bringing her materials to the school or, helping her, come up with projects and poster boards. And it was something that as I, became a teenager, it was something that I became passionate about.
Hmm.
And so when I went to school, that was one of the things that I wanted to do was um, to study something somewhere in social work or psychology where I was able to, give back to the people. I was kind of something similar that my mom, did and it's the things that I've seen her do in my entire life. So I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it, and I love the reward that it gives, not just for me, but for the clients as well.
Okay, you grew up in Hartford, right?
Yes,
You play football, right? I've been in your business.
yes,
Well,
yes, yes.
you grew up in Hartford, you play football, you are working with the community that you grew up with. How does that shape your approach on helping people?
So one of the greatest life lessons that I have learned in my entire journey of life, football holds a nice special place in my heart. A lot of people think it's just a sport. You go out there, you just play. But just as a kid growing up in this neighborhood, having that structure, and being a part of organization, a team where you're having coaches and they're also teaching you a lot of life strategies, such as, accountability, being on time, following through. And not just the adults are counting on you, your peers are also counting on you as well. And football is a team sport. I like to believe it's the ultimate team sport. You have multiple people playing. Everyone has their own position and responsibility. But at the end, we're trying to come together and achieve one goal together. So it also teaches you a lot of teamwork. And there's a lot of leadership values that come along, with it. And that's also something that, like, I push, for parents or encourage them, to get your children, not just in football, in any type of organized, sports or organized groups,
Mm.
because a lot of life lessons that come along with it outside of just, just being active, just playing.
So when you are in the community and you are also a therapist, are you wait, are you connected with like football right now, like with the kids?
Not officially, no,
Oh,
not
okay.
officially,
I
no.
don't know. You
But
come
it's something that I may be
across as
venturing
a
out
coach.
to.
I ain't seen nothing. You just come across as a coach. I was like, oh, you
Oh,
isn't it?
well, maybe one day, maybe
Okay,
one
but
day.
you are a father, right?
Yes, sir.
That is
Yes,
a coach within itself,
yes.
daily. So, how does fatherhood play into your work and your life, specifically as a therapist, providing therapy for people?
So being a father is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me, in my entire life. By far, it is not even close. Something that I am very, very, very passionate about. Um, and I like to like instill like some of those like morals into like some of my clients. Some people, fathers that I do work with, they're already amazing fathers. They're already doing these things. And it's just maybe they need to just get things off their chest or have that safe space to have these conversations. And then also, if you're not sure exactly what to do, or need advice or how to like build and rebuild any type of relationship, whether it's with your children or even family. It's stuff that we also can talk about. I am very passionate about being a father, like I said, and it's something that I want for families to come together and to bridge that gap if there is a gap. It may not be easy. There's going to be challenges along the way, um, but it's something worth doing if it's something that you are interested in.
Why do you think it's important for fathers to be in their children's life?
The fathers, we're dope. That's why. No, especially children, growing up, especially in areas where I came from, there may be times where fathers are. It has been in the picture from the time that they were born, all the way through their life, and there may be times where fathers, based on their family dynamics, where they didn't have the opportunity to be present in their family's life. And as children, grow, they may be seeking those relationships,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, especially during the adolescence years, trying to figure out themselves and the way their hormones and how they're feeling. Um, and it is important to have those family connections. And it goes further than just like being children or a kid, even as an adult. You may still want those relationships with your parents. I think it's very important. Just bridging that gap and any separation in that families may
Okay. So you mentioned like the connection with the father. Yes, that's one aspect of it. I'm wondering, like, are you dealing with juveniles or juvenile, how would you say it, juveniles or adults, like within the parole aspect of it? Do you see both, like adults and
have. No, I don't work with any children
okay,
in that aspect. I'm just strictly adult.
okay. So with the adults in the justice system, what challenges do you find with working with them? And can you see like the therapeutic aspect, like, hey, you kind of need, X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, with the type of work that I do, there may be gaps. If there's commitments that need to happen through the department. Um, it's going to naturally create gaps and separation because when daddy was here, can be here based on whatever situations they may have. There's going to create gaps. And if that is a situation, how to maintain that relationship during like this time, which can be extremely, difficult. And then not just after just during that time, but after the relationship can, reconvene. How are we going to reconvene after there's been several months or several years of no communication, and now the child was 8 and now they're 12,
Mhm.
and how we get bridge that gap because now they're people we change, as the years go on. Um, so we're just figuring out ways to bridging the gap, and there is no cookie cutter answer where there's like a book where you can read it and say this is exactly what you need to do. Every feeling dynamic is different, so it will be challenging. But I love challenges, and this something that you are willing to fight for. It's something that we can definitely have some great conversations and come up with some good strategies to build those relationships.
Yeah, I love how you talk about the work with dads and kids and bridging that gap because it is vital to, the community today. We see more, what was the statistic? They like millennial fathers are the most active fathers, within the whatever it is of the years that have passed, so far. But can you talk about your work with dads and why it's meaningful to you? Because that's one of your specialties, working with fathers.
So I was very, very fortunate and blessed to grow up with my father in my life. And I'm very, very fortunate and blessed that, we used to have, a good positive relationship. And I'm trying to instill those same morals into, my son that and just to see that how what it has done for me. And I also have had, the unfortunate opportunity to witness family members, cousins, brothers, sisters, don't have the same opportunity, and hasn't been as fortunate as I am. And I've seen some of the stress and trauma that it has caused them, unanswered questions and the broken families. And so being able to like juggle between, two extremes is definitely something that gets me interested in wanting to help build that gap, not just for the fathers, but also for the families, for the children involved, or, the that's, they're in a different state that they're trying to bridge those family gap. And I think, and I'm very, very passionate about families and families sticking together. So between, everything that I just mentioned, that would kind of guided me towards wanting to work with fathers.
Perfect. What do you wish more fathers knew about mental health?
So there's one is, us men, we tend to think that we're Superman, we can just handle it all. We have a lot on our chest, I can just deal with it, and I'm one of them too. I'm one of them too. But and then also another big misconception is people, especially us men, feel like if I have to start therapy, I have to go to therapy until for the next 50 years, because I just have to do it, but that's not the case. Sometimes some sessions, may last 3 or 4 months. Some of them may last a little longer, depending on kind of what goals that we set. Excuse me. So that's one of the like biggest misconceptions that I see. Um, but also just as men, it's hard to sit there and express yourself to someone, especially someone that you never met before. Just being able to pour out into a cup and tell them exactly what's on your mind, what's frustrating you, what's going right, what's going wrong. But in these sessions, it is a very safe environment. It's something that we both will be learning from each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we both can get a lot out of these sessions.
It's interesting how you say what was it? Because it kind of like connects like with the justice system, as in like again, you're providing second opportunities like to people you're hearing them out and trying to figure out like what is needed and whatnot. And in that, these like misconceptions that happen, like you're not going to be on parole forever, and you are not going to be like in therapy forever. So what are some misconceptions, because you're seeing both ends, that you see within the justice system and the people that you work with?
So every case is pretty much different. Just like kind of like going towards it. Every person that I meet with, I try to meet with them on an individual basis. Um, but we're all human, and it's something that whether you are in the criminal justice system or you're fortunate to never make it there, we all make mistakes. We all, wish that we could change something that we did in the past. We all have these thoughts. So even though you make a mistake or you make a bad choice or a bad decision, it doesn't mean that that's going to be your life forever. How you move forward from there is something that we can talk about, and it's something that I want for my clients to have that mindset of growing and seeing ways how they can become better every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to keep going into the this law and order, because you have the information on it. So oftentimes people get caught up in things because they're angry, frustrated, uh, and they get caught up, and then you end up being arrested. You go to jail, you come out, now you're on parole. So to young people that are out there, making these decisions, or somebody that is having anger problems or struggling that, or with peer pressure. How about that?
Hmm.
That can lead them to seeing you, which is being on parole. What's some practical advice that you could give to them?
Um, well, we're learning never stops. And us as people, we tend to be governed and learn from our like previous life experiences.
Hmm.
Um, so if you have a bad experience in life, if you have a bad experience in life, it's something that you can change that. You cannot change the experience, but you can learn from that experience and do what you need to do to put yourself in a better position to either have that situation happen again or to not. Um, it is something that you, you have to be honest with yourself and be very realistic with yourself and have realistic expectations for yourself moving forward. And it's something that may not change overnight. It may take several months or several years. But especially as for like the younger youth, as a teenager, we're going through our stages. We're going through puberty. We're developing from a teenage boy to a young man, or a young female to a woman. So we're also learning as well, I think.
So you're saying first you got to be honest with yourself. Like you have to understand you're having these emotions, you know how you respond and react to things. The situation occurred, you saw what transpired thereafter. Now you have to make the choice. Are you going to start to do better, or are you going to keep doing the same thing, which is going to lead you down a different path?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so to a young person who's coming into therapy who's having maybe anger issues or frustration, and they're taking that step, or their parent has them coming to therapy for that, what's one practical thing that they could do to at least start, peeling back some of the layers to be more honest with themselves, say, "Oh, I actually do have a problem," or what can they do like from day to day to keep it under control?
I think the first part is just identifying some of the triggers that you have. And excuse me, we can go through therapy, all day. You're the kind you know yourself better than I do. And part of that is just being realistic as far as what are your triggers. I think that's the first step because without realizing what are your triggers, it's hard um, to try to adapt and to like change, have a change behavior moving forward. I think that's one of the first things, especially with someone coming in with any behavior problems or like to lash out or have a history of those type of things. One of the first things I like to do is try to get them to identify some of their triggers. I don't like to do the work for them. This is going to be work. It's not going to be easy, but um, I can guide you through the process as far as identifying some of your triggers.
Okay, y'all hear that? Y'all have to identify your triggers on your own. You know what makes you upset. You know what spaces you're in that you're like, okay, I'm really feeling, like I'm about to bubble over. Okay. So therapy can sometimes feel intimidating. People say that's not for me because it's intimidating saying, hey, what's your trigger? Because that's like, it's personal. How do you make therapy approachable for people who might be hesitant?
So my therapy style that I like to do, I like to be very realistic, and um, I like to be straightforward. However, I like for it to be in a natural setting. This type of conversation that we're having is not like a book or going here's this point, here's this point, here. We're having basic day-to-day conversations. Um, there may be times where we're both laughing hysterically, and just because based on the conversation, and then we may take a turn and then could get a little more serious. There's times where people may cry, and that is okay. That is a perfectly fine emotion. But my style is I like to have like basic conversations. And when we start, and you want to seem like I'm reading a book and just, read off bullet points to you and just, and you just expecting your response. That's, the style that I like to do, especially from coming from the neighborhoods with people who are working with real people. These are not robots or machines that we're working with.
Yeah.
We're working with real people. And I want to keep that real human interaction, moving forward with those things.
So how do you see your role as a therapist? I'm sorry. How do you see your role not just as a therapist, but also as someone who's contributing to the community?
Um, I, well, one of the biggest challenges that I have as a therapist is when we are done with our therapy sessions, or because someone either moved to a different state or they moved out of the country, and not knowing what is the final result
Mm.
from doing it because we don't have an opportunity to look at the final result. So that is my biggest challenge that I have. I'm not sure if any other therapists have those same type of thoughts as far as that, but excuse me, but as far as the role in the community, I feel like it is a very important role. Um, Outside of my household, growing up in a house with a therapist, a lot of my peers, they didn't know anything about therapy. They didn't know that it existed, or it didn't exist for our community. It was just outside everywhere. So just being able to be that educator and allowing people to know that it is okay to come to therapy. It is okay to talk to someone. There's times where I need to talk to someone. There's times where you may feel like you have it all under control, and you don't. And there may be times where you feel like you have it all under control and you don't. Um, but it's just being able to be the educator and being able to link people to services, working together as a team to kind of help that individual. And again, because you're in therapy doesn't mean that you need to be in therapy till you're, 100 years old. Um, but it does mean that if you feel like you can benefit it from now, or if it's just a couple months or even a couple years, that's something, a decision that you have to make, and to see if you can make a better version of yourself.
Yeah. Rashad, you have like this it's like a chill vibe, but it's a caring vibe, like that you care. So I feel like it would be amazing to have you as a therapist, just because it's like, hey, I am from here, where I'm working at. I work in the community. I am in the system as well. My mother was a therapist as well, and I'm not afraid to seek help and talk out. So it's just good to have that energy, and as in the 1% of Black men who are therapists in the United
Yes,
States of
that's
America,
right.
just to have it all on you is amazing. Now, before
Yeah.
we wrap up, I just got one question. What is one thing you want people to take away from this experience? Whether you, as a therapist, you talking about therapy, just what do you want them to take away from this conversation?
Therapy is cool. Therapy is cool. And it's something, whether you come in with me or you go with a different therapist, or you want to meet with me and I can, refer you to someone who may, be a better fit for you. Um, just come get the help that you need. Um, it's something that, goes a long way, and working on yourself is important. We never stop working on ourselves. We never stop learning about ourselves. And it's really important. Come on down to therapy. We can talk. We will have some good laughs. We're going to work. It's going to be work. It's not going to be easy. But but just having that challenge, within yourself, will make a better version of yourself.
Yes, yes. Y'all, reach out to Rashad if you need somebody. Hey, really appreciate you coming on here, giving
Yeah,
knowledge, giving us some comfort just about being a Black man, a dad, an athlete, a parole officer, a therapist. It's much appreciated. And I just want to give you your flowers here. As a Black man in the United States of America, the fact that you keep showing up and that you keep supporting your community despite the world not loving us and not liking us like that. So I just want to give you flowers.
yeah.
Thank
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, y'all, Rashad has no social media at all. So if you want to reach Rashad, you're going to need to get services. You got to go for toolsforsuccesscounseling.com, and he is under the Connecticut section of the website. You can also hit us up here, and I'll connect you to admin. Shout out to Deirdre. Uh, Now, Rashad, thank you so much for coming on today. I
Uh,
really do appreciate it. And until next time, y'all, be kind to yourselves and be kind to one another. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.